Welcome everyone to Mercy College. And Indra, thank you so much for coming.
It's an honor to host a luminary and visionary thinkers such as Indra Nooyi. She's one of that rare breed of leaders who can not only see the changes that are possible, but lead organizations and institutions to make those changes.
Being in PepsiCo for 25 years and living in Connecticut, I've never been in Mercy College before, so I actually feel like I lost out, not having been here before. So thank you for inviting me, and it's a privilege to be here. My story of becoming the head of a Fortune 50 company could have only happened in the US. I don't believe there's a single other country in the world, at least in the time that I became the CEO, where somebody like me could have become CEO of a major company in that country. So I owe a lot of my success to what the US offered me. So I owe it a huge debt of gratitude. And all of us should know that being here gives us a big start in life. I did 3 or 4 full-time jobs being a CEO. Being a mother is a full-time job. Being a wife is kind of full-time at times. And then in the Indian context, being a daughter and daughter-in-law also adds enormous pressures to the job. No human being can do 5 or 6 jobs well. Unfortunately, women are born with this perfection gene. We want to do everything perfectly. So we sacrifice everything about ourselves, which I did. And so it was a constant juggling. When you become a CEO or a president of a company, that's a whole different ballgame than when you're rising in the company. When you become a C-suite person, all bets are off. The world is looking at you. They're hoping you fail because the next person is ready to take your job. So the stakes are very, very, very high. It's very hard to invest the kind of time and energy to get to the top. Guys, it wasn't easy for me. I never slept. I slept 4 hours a night. Okay, even now I barely sleep. I learned to speed read because if I didn't do that, I couldn't read everything that was put in front of me by extremely bright people and then add value to it. So be careful about saying, we've got to get to CEO parity. It is a tall, tall, tall order. I think what we ought to talk about is educating people in the workforce. So it doesn't matter who the CEO is. The path for everybody is greased so that you can be whatever you want, whenever you want, as opposed to, I took 3 years off to have a kid, therefore my career is stymied. Bring a return to work initiative back so people can re-enter the workforce. Tap into the whole workforce, leverage the whole talent base. But if we hold being CEO up as the only metric of success, it's going to be tough. COVID has taught us that, yes, technology can take us someplace. But if you really want to be a servant leader, if you truly want to create an inclusive company, don't create 2 tiers of workers. One tier that has to come in, show up at work every day, work the hours through snow and rain and hail, and another group that is still debating, when do I come back to work and not? When you come to work and you actually interact with others, you learn leadership development differently. You learn how to work in teams very differently. You can pop into meetings and you can learn differently. Is this going to create a society where women are going to fall further behind? Yes, if only the women work hybrid and all the men go to work. Don't let that happen. Always ask yourself, how am I going to be a lifelong student so I can learn everything around my job so that I can offer a proposition to the company which I keep improving? If you have a proposition, you put the organization before you, and you're fine-tuning your proposition all the time, you will move up in the company. You will do well. What you're doing is expanding the scope of your job to understand the connection points between your job and other parts of the company.
3 out of 5 people are women of color, and they're entering the a workspace that might be not so embracing.
I had to win over people because I was more prepared, I had done more work, I had studied more. Incredible commitment of time, incredible commitment of time. And I always say, I walked into every meeting in a hole, in a deep hole. I had to dig myself out of it just to be on a level playing field with the others. Today is totally different in that there are many more women in the workforce, There are many more people of color in the workforce. So rather than being in a deep hole, you're in a shallow hole, but you're still in a hole. Women of color in particular, especially if you're a foreign-born person of color, you are in a hole, but it's not as deep a hole as it used to be. There's more of us in the environment today and distinguishing themselves in many, many ways. So people are being accepted more than they ever have been. So I feel optimistic about the future. And as more women rise to the top and more people of color rise to the top, I think it's going to make life easier for everybody else. Too often, I think, when people talk about DEI, they have wrapped it into a program and numbers, as opposed to, this is a way to bring in the best and brightest from all of society. DEI is about expanding your reach so that you can draw from the entire population pool to bring in the best and brightest. That transition has not been made by many people. I honestly believe if you switch your brain to saying, I'm going to wear blinders when I do my interviews, you will end up with a very different workforce than the way we do it today.